welcome to TJD episode 75. We watched The Crow.
I'm Ty.
Jake.
And I'm Drew. I know last week we said we were going to watch the new It movie. I realized after thinking about it a lot that it was probably be a similar discussion to the one we had last time.
And now that you and I have seen it, I'm thinking no. It probably would have been pretty different.
Yeah.
But we can always come back.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Ty hasn't seen it yet, I don't think.
Nope.
But yeah.
Would you recommend it?
Absolutely, I would.
I would as well.
But no, we ended up doing The Crow. It's a movie I'd never seen before, and you guys had been talking about it all ever since we started the pod.
Yeah.
You guys have been really...
I listened to one today at work, and we were talking about The Crow back then.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Well, I mean,
like, wow, we didn't get around to this until now.
Contact.
Yeah, what is that, Contact, Jake?
It's a movie. Like, that would be the pod. It would we would flounder and be like, yeah,
It'd be Jaws all over again.
Oh man, nothing could be Jaws. I don't think we've ever struggled that hard.
We struggled pretty fucking hard with that one.
I was gonna make a Casey Anthony joke, but I don't think I'm gonna.
Jeez.
It's a little fucked.
But I'll summarize this. The Crow is a 1994 action drama fantasy movie.
I think it's also based on a comic.
Yep.
Based on a comic, directed by Alex Proyas. Proyas. Stars Brandon Lee, Michael Wincott, Rochelle Davis, Ernie Hudson, Bai Ling from Crank.
Oh yeah, that was her.
Yeah.
What part does she play?
She's that
sister.
Asian witch lady.
That blows my mind.
Yeah, but Brandon Lee is...
Well, no, I meant in Crank.
She's the crazy Asian lady in the second movie.
Yeah, Crank 2. That crazy Asian lady who's always hanging on to him.
That can't be the same. That's like, those are what? 14 years apart?
I mean, she is of an Asian ethnicity. They don't really age like humans.
Wow. So they're like elves?
I mean, they age a hell of a lot better than I am.
Anyways, The Crow is... Brandon Lee stars Eric Draven. He's engaged to this what's her name? Shelley.
Yeah.
Both of them are murdered by a group of guys coming in to... I don't know, if they're trying to evict people, aren't they?
Yeah, she was trying to clean the town up by doing this thing with code enforcement or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and whoever was the tenant of the building didn't like that, so he sent his thugs to go fuck with them.
So they both die. A year later, Eric rises from the dead and essentially is out to murder those who have wronged him and his fiancée.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Just a revenge movie at its core.
Mm-hmm.
And you have what's the girl's name? I can never remember.
Shelley?
Not Shelley. The younger... Sarah. So you have Sarah, who was kind of, I don't know, like a surrogate daughter for him. Like, she hung out with him. They were friends, and she's kind of going around too. And you have Ernie Hudson playing... Can't think of his name either.
Albrecht.
And, yeah, he's kind of a beat cop, trying to, do his part to keep the city clean, which is impossible because you're in Detroit. Which is like, I don't know, why bother?
Yeah.
I'd probably just shoot myself if I did anything. I mean, I'm just saying. Did you see the city?
I mean, it's exactly like Scary Movie 4 where they're like, this is Detroit. This is Detroit after the invasion. It looks exactly the same except with walkers.
Like, when they go back to Eric's apartment and it's all fucked up, I'm like, wow, that looks better than most of the city. And nobody's been there for years. Or, no, 1 year. It's only been a year.
Yeah, only a year.
And that cat's still alive.
That cat must be eating people. He'd have to be, right? Or he's scaling what they said, he fell 6 stories when he died.
Yeah.
And it was all boarded up, so how the fuck is that cat getting in and out? I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The cat is not relevant to the movie. I'm fucking turning into you.
The cat's name is Gabriel.
Gabriel. Which is a great name for a cat. I don't know why.
It's the name of an angel.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that they did that because of that or...
Well, it was an all-white cat.
Yeah, true.
You have to be white to be an angel?
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, angels are usually shown in white.
People are usually wearing white when depicted in heaven.
Isn't Lucifer an angel?
Fallen angel. Yes, a fallen angel.
I saw a Bible once.
And it instantly burst into flames after you looked at it.
Perhaps. We want to jump in?
Yeah.
Can we spoil this movie?
Yeah.
Is the statute of limitations?
It's been 23 years.
But Drew hadn't seen it.
Well, that's because Drew's a loser.
Oh.
I literally...
He just glances over it.
Yeah, sure, fine. I literally had never had the opportunity to see this. Like, it was never on TV for me. It was
a film I don't think was really on TV. It's a hard R. So that's why I think it would be hard. Like, you couldn't show this on USA or TNT or anything like that. You would cut a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of it till, like, later in life, and then by that point, I was like, is it all that crack?
It's one of those, like, eventually I'll get around to it.
Yeah.
It was a cult film, so... Mainly because of the story that was behind the making of it.
Right.
So...
I'll kick it off with a pro. Brandon Lee is fucking great in this movie.
Stupendous.
Super charismatic, super off the wall. Like, he's not all there at points.
Yeah.
And, like, I had said before, like, I really think that Heath Ledger probably took a lot of inspiration from this part.
In terms of his role as the Joker?
Well, yeah, for the Joker. Okay. In terms of body language and, like, the way that he would kind of, like, I don't know if you noticed, but he kind of hunches himself. Like, he's a big lumbering guy, but he kind of, both of them kind of had the same weird walk thing. I don't know, it's just, I get a vibe from it.
Similar mannerisms, I get it.
Right. Very confrontational, but, like, would use humor to kind of not be super, super menacing. Mm-hmm. But that's also writing and stuff. It could just be characters that I think are similar, but I don't know. For whatever reason, I think he took inspiration. But I think Brandon Lee's great.
Yes. That's it. I don't know if I've actually seen any of the other films that Brandon Lee starred in. Like you said, Showdown in Little Tokyo. I never saw that.
I think you'd like it.
I probably would.
Dolph Lundgren's like a brain dead idiot, and he's like the wisecracking sidekick.
So it's like He-Man.
Yeah, basically. Gweldor.
Just in the middle.
You said it right.
That was Skeletor.
You said it right.
Unexpected Skeletor impression. I didn't even plan it.
I love it.
Everything comes out that way now.
Why would Skeletor yell Gweldor? Gweldor wasn't a threat to him.
He is now. Gweldor was a threat to everyone. You hear that motherfucker for that whole movie?
Oh. Well, he built that device that fucked everything else up for everybody.
Right? That fucking key?
Yeah.
God, that movie sucks.
Oh, shit.
I got a con ready, too.
Okay.
Sarah's not great.
Oh, no. We try to give child actors a break, but she's
rough.
She is rough.
I like her. Like, I get what they're trying to do, but she's very, very stiff.
Yeah.
And I think they could have got a kid that could go with that role more. Now, I won't lie and say that, like, during the emotional scenes, they aren't, like, impactful, but that could be Brandon Lee kind of carrying a lot of it.
Yeah.
and she's just not very good. I hate to say it because it's a kid, but she ain't a kid anymore. She's probably fucking our age, so.
Just something about her, just her general demeanor. Like, I get the whole thing. They tried to play it off as like teenage angst. Kind of, she's a rebel. Her mom doesn't really care about her, but she's supposed to have an attitude problem. But like, I don't know. She just wasn't there.
Pro I'm gonna give is the way they finish this film. Like, it doesn't hold. Not everything holds up. But the usage of the stunt doubles and the CGI to like mask his face.
Do you want to preface the listener?
Yeah, for anyone that might not know.
For anyone who is unaware of The Crow, this film had an accident on set. There was a scene where Brandon Lee is shot. His character is shot. And what happened is a dry gun was actually had a case loaded into a blank gun, and the casing actually was then accidentally shot out and lodged into him and eventually killed him. So there were most of the movie had been filmed, but there were certain parts that they hadn't finished yet. And I think it was Universal who actually was doing this film, wrote it off and gave it to another company who finished it with CGI and stunt doubles. But yeah, so this film is Brandon. It may not be his last acting film released, but I think it was his last, kind of like a Heath Ledger thing where...
Right, the last film he worked on.
Yeah, so... May not have been his last one released, but it was the last one he worked on.
I remember being crushed because I was, for whatever odd reason, as a little kid, like kind of a Brandon Lee fan, and it's just, I don't know, it's fucked up. It's really sad. And his dad died in almost the exact same way. Just a weird coincidence.
But some have said actually, like, even though it's a terrible death, it has led to less accidents on sets because now when they do scenes where they end up having to shoot someone or something, they always frame the camera now so that's not actually pointing at the person but it looks like it is.
Yeah.
And
smart.
So, yeah. So, but then supposedly there was also a rumor that on set a lot of blow was going around too. So, like a lot of the
coke.
Yeah, a lot of the crew was doing it, not necessarily the actors, but the cameramen and all that.
They passing that silver platter around, that mountain of coke. Like, that was a lot of coke, man.
But supposedly, like, again, take this for what you want. You know, that it's just a rumor, but
could have been negligence.
Yeah. And then there's the conspiracy theorists because supposedly Bruce Lee was killed by some people who didn't like what he was doing, and so then they just also got to his son.
It's too bad he never came back from the dead to right the wrongs.
Hurts my soul.
Or, you know, make sure none of those Crow sequels ever happened.
Yeah.
Gosh.
We needed something to save us from that.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, there have been 3 Crow sequels, not all dealing with Eric Draven, who is the main character in this. They actually are 3 different people who have been wronged. But they are awful. And the last one was in 2005, starring Edward Furlong as the Crow, and having Tara Reid, David Boreanaz, who he would know from Bones as Agent Booth, and Danny Trejo.
Because he'll be in anything.
Well, yeah, because he's Danny Trejo.
So, in these other Crow movies, is it somebody else coming back as the Crow? It's not Eric Draven as the Crow.
No, it's somebody else coming back as the Crow.
Right.
It's like somebody else who had been wronged, and so they're coming back to be vengeful. So, and I had seen part of one, and I think it was the second one, Salvation, because I think it goes Wicked Prayer, or no, Salvation's the last one. I think it's Wicked Prayer, City of Something, or Something of City, and then Salvation. And I think I saw the second one, which they say if you're going to watch any of the sequels, watch the middle one of the 3. So
I think I saw 5 minutes of one of those sequels, and then I was done.
I think it's the direct sequel had Iggy Pop as one of the bad guys, as one of the goons, and they kind of have a Boondock Saints thing where he goes to a porn peak booth thing, and he gets murdered. So
nothing like having Iggy Pop in your action movie.
Right. He'll take his shirt off.
Mm-hmm.
Probably shouldn't, but he will.
I don't know the pro. The soundtrack.
Amazing soundtrack.
Dude, this takes like all the best parts of the 90s and just throws them in there, man.
We thought Mortal Kombat had a great soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
This is up there, I think. I think it'd give it a run for its money.
Well, like, list off like some of the...
let's pull it up here.
Stone Temple Pilots.
Right, Nine Inch Nails.
The Cure. Rage Against the Machine. Pantera.
Lots of goodness.
And The Cure did the song just for the album, and supposedly they've only done it twice live.
Yeah.
So,
and it's called Burn, and it's one of their best fucking songs, in my opinion. I had a pro.
Okay.
Were you going to say
I was going to say, which I think is kind of bullshit that you do a song and then you'll never sing it. Or release it as a single even.
I mean, Radiohead hated fucking...
Creep?
Yeah, they fucking hate that song. And they don't like playing it, but...
But at least that was out on an album that was easily obtainable.
That's true. And it is on their B-sides and rarities, but that came out like 2006, I think. So you had a pretty good gap where your only way to get it was pirating it off Limewire.
Or trying to find a copy of the Crow soundtrack.
Yeah. And who knows what you're getting when you download on Limewire.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Sometimes you'd see that 24,000 kilobytes, you're like, that's not a song. But you let it download anyway.
Because you're morbidly curious?
Yeah. And then you become a man. In all the wrong kind of ways.
I was like, was it porn?
Well, when you watch a man die.
Yeah.
That's when you become a man? Question mark?
I don't think you have to watch a man die to become a man.
Let me just say Limewire was a transformative program that took everything I thought I knew and just threw it out the window.
I can honestly say, besides you, I've never had anyone I know have issues with Limewire like that.
I had all the issues. My God.
You were looking
that
up
Korn album's really good.
You were looking up the wrong shit.
God.
I'm sorry, that was a tie joke.
I didn't just catch it.
Say.
Oh, he goes, I had a lot of issues, and I said, yeah, that Korn album was great.
They had an album called Issues.
Oh.
Took me a minute.
I didn't.
I had to remember 20 years ago.
When Korn was relevant?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm old as fuck.
I remember on Limewire, I heard songs off of Chinese Democracy years before they came out. And they were so underwhelming. I didn't have to buy the album. I heard the stolen version and was like, yeah, it's not good.
Welcome to China, baby. You're gonna die.
It wasn't that much of a knockoff. It's just Welcome to the Jungle. They insert different countries.
Welcome to the India. Why does he put the in there?
The India. Yeah.
Because Axl Rose is a creative mastermind, god damn it.
Welcome to the India. We have curry and trash.
Yeah. Jeez.
Is it hot button if it's true, though?
I mean, people take a dump in the streets. So.
Yeah. We have a lot of Indian followers, actually.
Well, but it's, it's
a Ponzi
you
scheme.
Can actually... No. I don't think that's the right word.
I love watching Ty navigate out of this
Indian click farm.
It's like he's going across the thin ice and I'm throwing fucking rocks. Just keep jumping.
You've already sank in the ice cold water. You're just
pretty much. I'm out there with a flamethrower in a fucking rowboat. I'm like, come off that ice. Don't worry about it. We all float down here. Jesus Christ. How do we feel about The Crow?
It's a great movie. Some like we talked about, some of the stuff doesn't hold up. Probably because of its limited budget, because it lost the big studio. Some of the like panning scenes don't work anymore.
Special effects are pretty rough.
Like when both Eric and then the goon he throws out the window, those like against the screen just are awful.
Which granted 94, but again, even for 94, it's pretty rough. I'd say pro David Patrick Kelly. He's the guy that played T-Bird, the guy from the Warriors, who's awesome in basically everything he's ever done. He's fucking good.
Ernie Hudson. You know, something I wish Ernie Hudson had gotten bigger roles. Because I think he is a good actor. He just never really made it big. He just was always a side character.
Dude, I like him in this.
No,
I think he's great.
But like in Ghostbusters, like, you know, it was originally supposed to be Eddie Murphy, but Eddie Murphy didn't want to take the role, so they just grabbed someone, and that was Ernie Hudson.
And I can't imagine Eddie Murphy in that.
No, that would have been a completely different film.
I think he would have tried to steal it.
Yeah, away from Bill.
Right.
But, I mean, supposedly because Bill Murray wanted Ernie to have a bigger role, that's why that Ghostbusters 3 never got off the ground. So
I'll give him props for that then. If that's true, then yeah, kudos to him. Because yeah, I think for whatever reason Ernie Hudson just kind of gets shit on. But I think he's good in this. I like the dynamic that he has with Brandon Lee. Like their chemistry, like they seem to get along genuinely.
Yep. And they're both, I think Ernie's just a very professional actor. He just like,
right.
Yeah, I know my role in this film. I'm bringing the veteran presence.
He's very down to earth. He's very, I don't want to say subdued, but he's lower key.
Yeah. Which
is why I think he's not really starring in a lot. But I don't know, he's good at what he does.
Yes. Very good.
Now, I won't call it a con, but I used to watch this movie all the time growing up, and I didn't remember this aspect of it, but for some people it might be frustrating. There's a lot of flashing. Like light. Lots of flashing light.
Like the shootout in the boardroom.
Right.
Then there's the kids, the Halloween kids out on the street, and they're just flashing the lights in his face.
And I don't want to sound nitpicky because it's a stylistic choice.
I was gonna say it's like the lens flare in the new Star Trek.
Right.
Some people is like, okay, like it's an effect that maybe was overdone.
And I'm not calling it a con. I just thought it'd be worth bringing up if someone genuinely hasn't seen it. Like, you had never seen it before? Was it noticeable or did it bother you?
No, not really. To be honest, I really didn't notice it all that much.
Okay.
I really noticed it like when they were doing the flashback scene to the night that he was murdered is when I was really noticing it this time.
I mean, now that you mention it, I kind of remember that now, but the initial viewing, not really.
And again, I don't think it's a big deal. I just figured I'd mention it. Like, if you have epilepsy or something, you might have a hard time with this. Wow, we're actually looking out for people with epilepsy.
I know, what the fuck?
Right.
Okay,
and Jake's heart grew 3 sizes that day.
Yeah, this rowboat just went up on this ice. The fuck's that all about?
You found land. You're like,
yeah.
But the incest in this film.
It's a huge pro.
What? So, wondering, that girl, did they murder her or did they literally just sex her to death?
Can you imagine fucking someone to death?
That's why I'm wondering. I'm like,
yeah, it happened in 7.
Did it happen in 7?
Yeah. The lust kill? That giant dildo with the blades on it?
No, I don't mean that.
He means literally just having sex with someone until they died.
Right.
That happened.
I understand. I mean natural sex with someone until they died.
not serrated blades on my penis, and they die of internal bleeding.
If you have a giant demon dildo, yeah, you could probably do some damage.
Ow, my organs!
Well, I've said questionable things. So what's your immediate reaction when you fuck someone to death? I'd imagine it'd be pure terror, and then like...
Well, they're like...
How do I tell people about this?
Well, they're just like, I think we broke her. Yeah. And it's like, wait, did you actually kill her intentionally? Or like, was it some sort of sacrifice? Like, I don't... Like, why was that scene important? Like, to put in this? Besides, you get to see a tit.
Well, I mean... A tit's a tit.
Yeah. A tit for tat.
And I guess I really didn't even understand that that's what they had done at the beginning.
Yeah. They're like, she's like, is she asleep? Roll her over. Obviously, she's dead because her eyes are wide open. And, and guess we broke her. What's that mean?
They broke her.
Yeah.
Vagina.
To death?
They broke the vagina to death.
And so then the woman just died.
I don't know. Blow? Could have been blow, right?
Could have been blow, but because he does do some.
That deep fucking voice.
That's a sexy ass voice.
It's almost alarming.
It got me wet.
If it wasn't so arousing. It got you wet.
I mean, hard. I mean, I like
Both.
girls.
I don't know where we go now.
So this wet feeling you had, Drew.
I
Let's
peed.
go there.
I peed a little.
Was it a dream?
No, I was awake.
Oh.
I don't know if that's better or worse.
Did it come out of your anus?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had anal leakage.
Yeah. It was burrito night.
I just wanted to see how far you would go.
How do we get this back on track?
Easily. Pro, the hot dog vendor.
Yeah. In all the possible scenarios of things that were about to come out of your mouth, that wasn't up there. But I appreciate the surprise. Pro, hot dog vendor. You know, he seemed like a nice guy.
Yep. Very fleshed out.
Yeah.
You knew his name.
What was his name?
Max. Because it was Max's Dogs was the name of the stand.
I thought it said Max sees... You
Well,
could buy your pad
Maxi
with
pads?
Yeah, you could buy your pad with your
well,
hot
but then
dog.
after the arcade fire is started, he goes, Max, call it in for me. So, or he calls him Maxie, which I'm sure Max is short. It's probably Maximilian. Yeah, we're spending a minute on this hot dog vendor.
How do you like your hot dog?
Actually, ketchup only.
Ketchup only.
Unless like I'm in the mood for like a chili dog, then yeah, nacho cheese and chili. But otherwise, if it's just a regular hot dog, just ketchup.
Thoughts?
Amazing.
Amazing?
Yeah.
How do you prefer your hot dog?
Ketchup only.
What in the fuck is the matter with
Sometimes,
you two?
hold on.
If you go to Chicago and say ketchup only, they will laugh you the fuck out of town after they shoot you and rob you.
Sometimes I like to put potato chips in there.
Potato chips?
Yeah.
On a hot dog?
Yeah, like crunched up potato chips. I throw those in there. Makes it a little crunchy.
Never tried that.
Yeah, it's good, man.
What is wrong with just ketchup?
It's so plain.
I don't
It's
care.
so sweet.
What's plain is the actual hot dog itself.
I just need a little flavor. I like just a regular hot dog.
I hate mustard. I hate relish.
Yeah.
Onions are okay.
You don't like relish?
No, I hate pickles. I don't like pickles.
Why would a pickle go on a hot dog?
Well, I mean, relish is kind of like pickles.
Yeah, but I hate relish. But I like pickles.
What? It's the same fucking
No,
thing.
they are not the same fucking thing.
What is it, the texture? Because the texture's virtually the same as well. It's just all mushed up.
There is other shit in relish that is not in a regular fucking
actual
pickle.
shit.
Yeah.
We watch The Crow, we talk about hot dogs.
It's a little relevant. There was hot dogs in this movie.
Yeah, it's barely relevant. That's what we do. We find that straw and we just grasp onto that fucker till everyone turns the pot off.
No. Do you think... How big do you think Brandon Lee could have been after this film?
It's hard to say, because it's... I mean, the same question would be like, how big do you think Heath Ledger would have got? It's like...
The thing is, I think Heath Ledger was already big.
He was.
I don't think Brandon Lee was really that big when this happened.
So, it would be really hard to guess which one of them would have blown up more. But I do think that Heath Ledger had more of a built-up, like, following. Just because he'd done a lot of... like rom-com type stuff, like I don't know, A Knight's Tale is their love story in that as well.
Yeah.
So he kind of had built up like a following, and I guess Brandon kind of did the same thing, but I think he did it on a lesser level, just because the time period in which Brandon did it was so oversaturated with like everything, like action movies, like action heroes were a dime a dozen kind of. Not that there weren't great ones, but like there were a lot of fucking movies coming out. So I do think you're right when you say that you think Brandon had kind of more of a cult following, but I think he was around that ballpark. But I don't know. I think both of them would have been wildly successful, not widely.
Yeah, I just this film, you always go into something like this because those people who want to see this know Brandon Lee died, or they have an idea, they've heard something about this film, and then you see it and you're like, you want to be able to separate and say, yes, this is a good film, not just because Brandon Lee died, right? And you're not trying to put it up on a pedestal like Heath Ledger Joker,
right?
Like, it's a great Joker. Right. I loved it. I love The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger's amazing. He did deserve his Oscar, but some people are also like, how much of it was he just got because, well, he died.
Right. And people still argue about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it though. Like, he totally deserved it. Like, just because he died doesn't add that mystique or allure to it.
But there is a strange thing with grieving. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I did some bath salts or something before the pod.
Oh, you got into some of that Crow Coke.
Crow Coke?
Crow Coke.
It's Crow Coke.
It's Coke used on the set of The
Crow. Oh my god. I literally thought it was some obscure drug that... Oh man. You got me.
The shit's kicking in, man.
Crow Coke. I'm like, I literally was like, what the fuck is that?
We literally talked about it during this pod.
No, but like I put it together and I'm like, Crow Coke.
Yeah.
Like one word. Crow Coke?
Not Crow Space.
I've never heard of Crow Coke.
He thought it was Croak Oak.
Yeah, Croak Oak. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah. I don't remember what we were talking about. What about Crow Coke?
It had nothing to do with Crow Coke.
What were we talking about before that?
I'm trying to actually remember now. Oh, Heath Ledger's Academy.
Yeah, did he earn it? Oh, yeah. Okay, there's a weird thing with grieving.
Yes.
Where people kind of flock to whatever they had done. Like, remember when Michael Jackson died and, like, his fucking albums were selling ridiculous? Prince did the same thing. But that's more so musicians.
Chris
Cornell, Chester Bennington. Like, I think it's like a weird phenomenon where everybody kind of just hyper-focuses on it.
Because, I mean, I think that's the reason Dark Knight... Like, again, great film. Amazing performances by everyone involved. And just a very well done film. But it broke $1 billion. Probably because a lot of people were like, hey, I have to see Heath Ledger's like last true performance.
Yeah, there was a lot of hype and a lot of shock, like all at the same time.
And like everybody was like, you know, because they heard that rumor that this is the film that put him in the mindset that he couldn't, you know, that he committed suicide.
Which was bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
I don't know. It would be very hard to predict how any of that would have gone.
But I'm saying, like, with The Crow, though, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I gotta see, this is Brandon Lee's performance. And they say it's amazing. And is it because, well, he died during the filming of it, that people, like, give it this mystique that sometimes that overrides how they actually feel about the film. Like, they just don't want to say anything negative about it.
Well, I still think this movie was a cult classic, though. I don't think it made, like, crazy money or anything. Because Brandon Lee wasn't, you know, you didn't have a Christopher Nolan behind you. You had Alex Proyas. So, but I think so are you saying that his death may have contributed to people's more positive reception of it?
Not, again, I think it's a great film.
Right. But you're saying your average people might just be enjoying it more because of all the controversy around it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying if Leah Thompson would have died when she did Howard the Duck, it would have made Howard the Duck better?
I think they would have praised her performance more. Maybe not made Howard the Duck better, but they may have praised her performance.
No. I don't think so. Because the thing is, you have two great performances with the Joker and the Crow. But Leah Thompson was, I mean, she was fucking sexy. That's about it.
It's true.
Could have been anybody else. No offense. I love you.
Please call me.
Well, Please call me.
See, like, here, I'm going to quote this from Wikipedia because there actually is a citation on this site. So, they say Lee's death was alleged to have a melancholic effect on viewers. Like the Washington Post wrote, Lee haunts every frame. A case of art imitating death, and that specter will always hang over the Crow. So, and then Ebert even said that it was not only one of the best of Brandon Lee's films, but it was better than any of his fathers ever did.
I'd agree with that.
But some critics thought Lee would have broken through, although some disagreed and said it was just because it was the type of film it was. So,
and I understand that, because the other thing is the subject matter in the film is about coming back from the dead to right wrongs, and like it just goes hand in hand with kind of everything that surrounded it. But
they also said that there were things that weren't necessarily in the film to begin with that they changed to make it more mainstream accessible.
Do you have an example?
I'm just saying the changes made after Lee's death. So like, because I don't think they had filmed everything they wanted to, so they had to just streamline some of it. But they're saying the changes made to the film after Lee's death were noted by reviewers, most of whom saw them as improvements, transformed into something compelling, although there's one guy that they talk about terming it a genre film that became more mainstream because of the changes. I'm trying to see what they're saying they changed, but I think it was some of the visual work. So, but and the darker tone, like it wasn't supposed to be as dark or something, but yeah, I guess that one part isn't very well. It's cited, but they just aren't very...
There's no examples or details, really.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Interesting. Pacing? Thought the pacing was excellent.
Yeah. Everything moves at a good pace.
That's what you want?
Yes.
Out of a film?
The other thing I can give it... Rob Zombie planned on making a sequel.
Please no.
What?
Yeah, in the late 1990s. So
Hey, Rob, if you want to send me my Blu-ray of 31, you miserable fuck, you can do that now. You thieving bitch.
Wait, was there a GoFundMe?
I gave Rob Zombie $80 to make his shitty fucking clown movie, and then nobody ever got their fucking copy of it. And it said all this shit about, oh, we'll give you a phone call every week and tell you how the film's going. We'll give you an autographed Blu-ray. I can buy the fucking thing in the store now, and I still haven't gotten the copy that I paid for. So Rob Zombie can suck my fucking dick.
Did anybody ever find out where that money went, or
I don't know where it went. I hope he gets fucking sued.
Did you like do any digging?
What am I gonna do? He's a fucking musician. I can't really get a hold of Rob Zombie.
I'm not saying get a hold of him. I'm saying
there's a lot of pissed off people on forums.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where the shit's at.
Then also, speaking of that, I didn't mean to get into this, but they are also rebooting it.
Please,
Sony has the right to distribute.
Oof.
And Relativity is trying to work on it. Jason Momoa was signed on.
No.
And Corin Hardy was attached to direct, but they might drop out.
So. Okay, so who's Corin Hardy?
He directed The Hollow and The Nun.
I was gonna say it's Tom Hardy's brother.
Your brother Corin?
Corin.
Oh, Corin.
Yeah, Corin.
It was just Corin Hardy.
Corin Hardy. Corin.
It's Jonathan Davis.
But no, they were attached to... He was attached to direct and Momoa to star, but with the rights changing hands, they might drop out.
We're watching it. We're like, I wonder who directed this. And you hear, you're not that fucking sketch shit.
What do you say, kid? Corn.
Or Corin. I guess Corinne for a girl.
Yeah.
That's such a cunt name.
Okay, tell us how you really feel.
Only because of that Casper movie and the villain bitch's name was Corinne. Oh. And I would never name my child that now.
What about the chick from Big Daddy? Jon Stewart's.
Oh, yeah, her name was Corinne.
Wife,
well, she was a bitch too, wasn't she?
Yep.
We ruined the surprise on you.
She got in the bag, Corinne. Some chicken wings, booby tassels. When Sandler was decent.
I did see Pixels.
I'm sorry.
Why?
It was on TV.
Were you drunk?
No, I had worked out and I just turned on the TV, so like I was cooling down, making supper, and it just was on.
The shotgun wasn't loaded yet?
Nope, not yet. It wasn't the worst, but I was like, well, I'm glad I watched this on cable and not actually rented this film.
Wasn't the best either.
No, I will definitely guarantee it wasn't the best. Because, like, they throw in, like, a cheat code joke in there, but, like, I was like, that wouldn't work. How's that work? What? Never mind.
Get your logic out of here.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. So, that and Josh Gad has sex with Qbert.
I hate Josh Gad.
Wow.
Why?
It turned, like, Qbert was like a trophy they won from defeating the aliens during one of the challenges. And then at the end, Qbert transforms into his favorite, like this Amazon woman princess thing that was one of his favorite video game characters. And then they start hooking up. And Adam Sandler at least points out, he's like, you know he's making out with Qbert, right?
Would you fuck Qbert?
No.
He's got that long nose thing.
Actually, Qbert was fucking annoying. Like, whoever voiced him was annoying as shit.
Did you fuck Birdo?
No. I feel like she'd get pregnant too easily.
Actually, Birdo's a guy.
Well, how's he...
Explain that with the bow.
What about the eggs?
No, literally in the Super Mario Brothers 2 book, it says Birdo is a guy.
You mean that game that wasn't even a Mario when they were making it?
Yeah, it was Doki Doki Panic. It's not even a real Mario game.
I do not accept this. Also, that game's hard as fuck.
They kept that canon for a long time, and then I think they finally did change Birdo to a girl. So, well, you know, Mario's not Plumber anymore.
Yeah, he's what, a retired athlete or something stupid?
Yeah, they just said he's an all-around.
Well, think about it. He played soccer, he played golf, he played tennis, he drives go-karts. What more do you want from the guy?
He was in the Olympics.
Not even our video game characters could be working men anymore.
Nope. No. He made it big, man.
What do kids look up to now? You can look up to us children.
Yes.
To be fair, he was originally a carpenter.
Mario?
Yeah. That in Donkey Kong, he was a carpenter. That's why he has a hammer.
Jumpman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't until they did the Super Mario Brothers in the arcade where they added Luigi that they became plumbers, because then they were in the sewers.
Hey, man, he's trying to make ends meet.
I know.
He does what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm. And he has Bob Hoskins play him.
He's the hero Brooklyn needs.
The one they deserve.
A disappointment.
But yeah, it's kind of sad that they weren't able to follow up this film with any good ones, though. A shock, no, but kind of a surprise. I mean, you have a template to make films.
I wouldn't want to be saddled with the job of remaking or rebooting or trying to follow this up.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of you would never be able to touch, in my opinion, the greatness of this one.
And see, that's kind of what I was talking about, is does this film have such a mystique on it because of what happened that it makes it impossible to touch, or like it allows people to put it somewhere where you're like, no, you can't touch that?
Well, for me,
No, it's MC Hammer.
Yes.
I'll be honest,
too legit.
When I was a kid, I watched this movie, Batman Returns, Batman and Robin, unfortunately.
It's like, that's really weird.
Like, The Mask. Like, those were the movies that I watched non-fucking stop. One of these is not like the others.
That Cameron Diaz, though.
Yeah.
3 of those are actually like dark films. Like even The Mask is pretty dark when you...
It's got its twisted moments.
Yeah. It was originally supposed to be darker because it's based on a comic,
But so, just to go further into it, like, this movie shaped my childhood, kind of. I don't know if that's good or bad. But, like,
It can't rain all the time, Jake.
That's true, yeah.
That's a good line.
It's one of my favorite movies. So I couldn't separate if I like it. I don't think I do, because I wasn't super, how do I even word what the fuck I'm trying? I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I was sad that Brandon Lee had died, and I knew about it. But I don't think as a kid I was drawn to it because of that, if that makes sense.
No.
I just liked the movie because I thought it was fucking cool. Just like Batman. Like,
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, for other people possibly. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to not have something like that impact your opinion, kind of. So I don't know. If we could time travel back to 94, we could figure it out.
Ask people.
Yeah.
Ask them a question.
I don't know. I mean, you're kind of a good example, because you didn't really... Did you know about Brandon Lee?
I had heard the name. I knew that he had died tragically.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as his breadth of work and what he'd done, like I said before, I didn't really know about The Crow. So
it didn't really lift your opinion of it?
Not really.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a thought I had, because I just so recently with Heath Ledger's death and that, I was like, I wonder if there's like a correlation.
It's like 10 years ago.
No, it's the most recent I can think of.
Heath Ledger's?
Yeah.
Like a tragic actor's death? Robin Williams?
But he wasn't like filming something.
I think he probably was.
Yeah, but
I get what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Had Robin Williams been doing Good Will Hunting and died in the middle of it, like something like groundbreaking like that, So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting to wonder, like, hey, what could have been? What if River Phoenix was in it?
Yeah, because we talked, there were 3 others that they wanted. 2 they offered the role to, and 1 they just wanted. And River Phoenix was one. Christian Slater was one. Those were the 2 they offered it to. And then Johnny Depp was the one that they originally had in mind when they were going to do this film.
I can't imagine Christian Slater.
Just think, though, had been one of those 3 actors instead of Brandon Lee.
That's true.
That
we could have lost Christian Slater.
No Alone in the Dark film.
About that time machine.
Jeez.
The movie?
No. He means go back, make Christian Slater take Brandon Lee's spot, and then we get really dark.
Oh, shit.
Yep. I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Or you won't make him refuse. You won't allow him to refuse it.
Yes. Let me reword it. You're going to do this thing I want. And you're going to do it now.
I was going to say something, and I chose not to.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, you might as well say
question. It. When the guy gets blown up in his car, he had that bullet in his stomach. Do you think the bullet went off?
You know the first thing I thought watching it is Magneto would have had a fucking field day with these guys.
Rip.
Yeah. I detect something junk.
Also, wouldn't that hurt? Like trying to go through your system?
Coming out?
Yeah.
I'm shitting bullets. Yeah, I'd imagine that's unpleasant.
Oh. Like, if it went sideways, couldn't it get stuck like in your intestines or something?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, not that these guys give a shit, really. I mean, their style of living.
Try hard to give a shit when you're eating bullets.
Yeah.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
Would you eat a bullet?
Probably not.
Only if he was committing suicide.
I feel like
I thought about that. I was like, oh.
That's pretty good. I don't know why that didn't dawn on me. I'm like, yeah, I think about it every day. Different kind of eat.
Not today, old friend.
There's no chewing involved. Oh, the rats, maybe.
Jeez.
It's the circle of life.
No.
I mean, it is.
And it moves us all.
Maggots need food.
No, Jason Momoa would be shit for this role.
No. I mean, I know people love him, but no.
I really don't get it.
I mean...
It's because of Thrones.
Well, I mean, it's Thrones.
I saw him in Thrones. I saw the whole season he was in Thrones, and I just was like, I don't care.
He gets chicks all fucking hot and bothered. I mean, that's pretty much it.
And say
he's got the Hemsworth effect.
Except I think Chris Hemsworth can be a good actor.
Can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not seen Jason Momoa be a good actor. I've just seen him be a hulking mass of man.
Well, you haven't seen Justice League yet, Ty.
No, I saw that trailer and I said, wow, his part looks like complete shit. Where he literally rides a guy down through a building, then all of a sudden jumps out onto the street 100 yards away.
No, he rides rubble to the street and then flips his hair.
Oh,
and plants his trident. And I went, what the fuck is this?
I just looked at that and was like, this is a fucking piece of shit. And go, Ben Affleck will probably be the best part of this film. And maybe Gal Gadot. Because I still haven't seen Wonder Woman, but...
I haven't either.
It's good.
I heard it's great, but it got ruined for me like a month after it released.
There's a Wonder Woman in it.
Yeah, I know.
She's pretty fucking hot, too.
Oh. I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? That's why I bought the ticket. I mean, I support women actors. Feminism, yeah. Oh, shit. I'd edit it, but I don't care.
No, she's very attractive.
She is very attractive.
But I heard she does a very good job as well.
She's decent.
I mean, she was a model, so... But...
I'll believe it.
Huh? Yeah, you should.
I do.
Do you guys want to do scenes?
True.
I think we might have sex instead.
I mean, if you want to do that on mic. Not with me, I'm going to leave.
Oh, that's so awkward. That's gonna be so oh, Drew's gagging on it.
No. Fuck. God damn it. I'm throwing up.
Oh, didn't expect that.
Oh, God.
We're all so close now. This is gonna be so uncomfortable to listen to. I can't wait.
Wait, what's that extra mode?
He's getting involved. Oh.
God damn it.
There's that
I'm gonna shoot.
There's that noose in the back.
I'm gonna shoot myself. Oh god, yeah, we can do scenes.
Oh shit!
Go
ahead, Drew.
Go ahead. It's your pick.
Oh. I'll probably say I'll pick the scene where the Crows got one last bad guy to take care of, and they're wondering where they have to go where the bad guys have to go to like meet up with them or kill them or whatever it is, and all of a sudden he just appears, and he's sitting on this table, and he's like, "I'm here for that guy. I'm not here for any of you." And then they throw down, like all these fucking guys just go after him. Brandon Lee's kicking all their asses. It eventually leads up to the final fight. But I thought that action scene in particular was really cool. The choreography and stuff for '94 was not bad. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I really like the scene where Eric goes to confront Funboy. And Funboy is with Sarah's mom, Darla, up in the bedroom, and they were doing drugs together, and he kind of comes in and does this thing on the guitar where he kind of scratches his nails on the strings, and it makes a creepy sound, and Funboy's startled by him, and he ends up, blowing a fucking hole through his hand, and Brandon Lee acts like he's actually in pain, and then he kind of holds his hand in front of his face, and there's a hole just all the way through it, and he's just kind of laughing and looking through it, and he's crazy. Like he's very confrontational, and it would be very spooky if it happened to you, especially if you were fucked up.
Dude, that is a cool scene. I remember that.
And he ends up, I don't know if Funboy's all fucked up, so he kind of throws him in the shower. But my favorite part of this scene is when Darla's in the corner of the bathroom, and she's got like a razor blade, and she's scared of Eric, and he grabs her forearm, and you see the morphine that drugs, she had injected, and it just kind of trickles out of her
veins.
Yeah, her veins, and runs down her arm, and he says, "Mother's God on the lips of children," and more or less says, you need to be a better parent, and has her look at herself in the mirror, and like it really lets you know that he's not a bad guy. Like, he is a vigilante, but he has morals, and he's a decent human.
Mm-hmm. And quick correction, it wasn't I don't remember if I said Universal or Sony was releasing this. Sony was wanting to do the remake, but Paramount is the one who owned the film rights and sold them to Miramax.
Interesting.
Yep. Because they thought after the tragedy that they were like, they were going to release it theatrically, but then they're like, well, it would be like a couple more million to just make it straight to home movie. And they're like, we don't want to spend that, so they sold it to Miramax, who put the money into it and then released it theatrically. So, but I would say my scene is actually where Eric is recreating the night of his death, and like, even though I think most of it coincidentally was a stunt double, just that him going through and like stumbling into the apartment. And then, like, just relive, like, he touches the cat, and then all of a sudden the whole night reenacts. And then, like, you see him get down on his knees as they hold him apart, and, like, he's outstretching his arms, and then, like, you hear the two shots, and then, like, it cuts away, cuts back, he has a bullet hole scar. Cuts back, or flashes back, cuts forward, has another bullet scar, and just like, okay, that was pretty damn cool that they added those. And then you saw, even though you knew, yeah, he's pissed off, yeah, he's getting vengeance for him and his fiance, you understood more why, like what happened that night, what his true intentions are, and why he's fighting. Besides just he was murdered, now you have a deeper meaning why and what he went through and what she went through. So I think it just developed the vengeance factor a little bit more and gave you an in-depth into Eric's last moments.
Tells you what's at stake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, the other scene, which I actually just kind of find funny, is when the crow gets shot and then Eric gets shot and he's kind of standing there smiling and then he goes, fuck. He just falls over. Which it's like, it's not a good moment, but it's funny because he's like trying to play it off and then he just like, crap.
Right. He had a lot of pretty humorous parts. Mm-hmm. When he goes to leave Ernie Hudson's place and he's like, you gonna disappear on me again? He goes, I was gonna use your front door. Or the part where he starts getting shot, or they tell him to freeze and he kind of starts tap dancing out of the way.
Yeah, that was good.
Yes, he was very charismatic, and it really worked with that role. And I think that would be the hardest thing to harness with any rewrite of and that's probably what the other three films did wrong. Is I don't know, like, I know who played him, but the other two actors, I know one of them was French, and I don't know how much English he actually knew. Mm-hmm. That was the first guy. The second guy, who they, like I said, that's the second best one. I don't know him. He's just some no-name guy. And then you had Edward Furlong,
who's not really charismatic.
No, and this was 2005 Edward Furlong. So, like, drugs and alcohol and
just a bloated crow and a Hot Topic shirt.
Yeah. So, any fun facts?
I'd posit a question. Do you think this should be remade?
No.
It's hard to say because
we do mention that some of the effects are very dated.
Yeah.
And even some of the choreography is dated.
Right. But even if you were to update the effects, that doesn't mean you have a great movie.
No, not at all.
I mean, just look at Ghostbusters. They tried updating the effects and they looked like complete shit.
Yeah.
I would say no.
No. The only thing I'd say is I didn't want an It movie, and I was very pleasantly surprised. So, I mean, there's ways to do it, but it seems like so few and far between where they actually hit it, and you're like, okay, it ain't gonna be Jason Momoa. Sorry, no. I don't find him charismatic, really.
You don't want somebody who's ripped as shit. Honestly, like, what makes Eric more relatable is he just seems like an everyman. Yeah, he was in very good shape because you see him like without a shirt and that, but he doesn't look like a shit brick house.
No. A shit brick house?
You mean a brick shit house?
Whichever. Wow, this brick house looks like shit.
That's the Tom Arnold.
A shit brick house.
Oh my god.
That's so good. And then people go, wait, did you mean it the other way around? No, it's just a shit brick house.
Yes. It's falling apart.
No maintenance. Just sucks.
But Brandon Lee looks like an everyday guy. Yeah, very physically fit, but an everyday guy.
Right. He's not jacked out of his mind. He's not a hulking, lumbering presence. He's kind of...
You need like a Chris Evans before Chris Evans bulked up for Captain America.
Right.
Or Ryan Reynolds before he got jacked for all that.
He's lean.
Mm-hmm.
And it works. He's just scrappy. It's a good word.
A Jason Statham. but younger.
Even he's kind of built up, though.
Yeah, but I'm like talking like that first Transporter film. He wasn't jacked. He was just very lean.
How about Michael Cera?
Oh,
Cera?
Yeah, I don't
Sarah.
want that. Oh, is it Sarah?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Michael Cera as the Crow.
Dude, no.
He's just awkwardly standing in the corner.
I'm here to kill you.
I wouldn't stop laughing.
I mean, I can picture it. It's pretty good.
Or Christopher
Get Ron Howard to narrate.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse.
It's just Arrested Development.
With the Crow.
Now, George Michael knew he had to come back from the grave and kill everyone.
Ernie Hudson's like, there's always money in the banana stand. God damn it, I'd watch that movie.
Why don't they just make an episode of Arrested Development?
Yeah. I mean, simultaneously, I'd be like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And I'd be like, God damn, am I glad this exists?
Oh, shit.
No, I don't think they should remake it either.
No. Like Christopher Mintz-Plasse as, McLovin as the Crow.
I could never take it seriously.
I have a boner.
I mean, he was close. In Role Models, he was dressed up as Kiss.
Yeah, that's as close as it ever should be.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. There was something else I was going to mention, but it's left my mind, so...
You know that scene with Ernie Hudson and Brandon Lee?
Mm-hmm.
That the later part of that scene was all ad-libbed.
Really?
Yeah. Even the part where he's describing, like, oh, Shelley really appreciated the little things. And he goes, a lot of people, to me, I thought it was trivial. And he goes, believe me, nothing's trivial. He came up with that on his own.
Nice. All right, are we ready for reviews?
Yeah. Drew, go ahead.
This is my absolute first time watching this movie. I almost kind of want to say that...
You want to see the sequels?
No. I hate to say it, but I think you guys are going to hate me for this.
We hyped it up too much.
I think you guys hyped it up too much.
That's true.
It happens.
Even that being said, though, I think you have a great movie here. I have everything I would ever want in an action movie. And a hell of a cast with Brandon Lee. Like, the dude is awesome. Just everything about him, the way he delivers lines, the way he shows up and just kicks ass. I don't know. There's just something appealing about it. I think the rest of the cast, you have some good acting there. Sarah's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but we already kind of went over that. The soundtrack's fantastic. Some of the special effects aren't great, but that's just because of the times. I really like the whole message behind him coming back, and wanting to do right by Sarah, straightening out her mom and all that. At the same time, hunting down all of his killers. But no, it's definitely a good movie. I'm kind of upset that I hadn't seen it ever. I just never had that opportunity to see it. I would definitely watch this again, throw it on while I'm hanging out with some friends or something like that. I give it a 7.8.
I will warn at the top of my review that I'm biased as fuck, and there's nothing I can do about it. I grew up watching this over and over and over. Like I said, it was a darker Batman. Anything in the vein of Batman had my heart as a kid. Mm-hmm. And
you had a hard on for Batman?
Yeah.
Dude,
oh,
yeah.
And he did things that Batman wouldn't do. And sometimes you wondered, why won't Batman just fucking kill this guy? Well, because he's a better person. But sometimes you want to see a story about someone who isn't necessarily on a moral high ground, or not that there's anything wrong with taking that route, but it was something different that I hadn't really seen a lot of, and I gravitated towards it as a kid. I love Brandon Lee. I think he's great. I can't imagine anybody else playing that role. I think Ernie Hudson is fantastic. Sarah's pretty weak. The guy from the Warriors, I forgot his goddamn name, but he's great in everything. But as a kid, I was always interested by the idea that sometimes, in real life, bad shit happens, and those people never really get an opportunity to go back and change it. And this is probably one of the first movies as a kid I saw where I was like, really bad shit happened to this guy, and he gets this opportunity to come back and change it. I just think it's a really cool plot device. And I enjoyed my first taste of revenge films. And like I said, it has a place that's near and dear to my heart. So, it's dated. A lot of the effects don't really hold up. And depending on the type of person you are, you might even think parts of this are corny. I could understand that, but I unabashedly love it. I'd give it a 9.5.
Yeah, I saw this film probably when I was about 13, 14. It was on like Stars or something. And so I saw it. I was like, man, this is a great film. Like, who made it? And then that's kind of when I figured out the whole Brandon Lee. I may have even been watching it. My dad told me, he's like, the main actor died in this. And I was like, really? And I Ghostbusters is one of my top 5 films of all time. That film was like what you grew up watching, The Crow. I grew up watching Back to the Future and Ghostbusters like nonstop. And so I knew Ernie Hudson, and I was like, oh, I love this guy. And so this film kind of stuck out to me. Like, I always kind of wondered like the backstory. I delved into that, and so this film always kind of captured my attention. And see, I posed that question earlier in the pod about like, did that incident like propel this film a little bit? Because not that it propelled it to me to be like, because I was enjoying the film before I even knew about that, but it intrigued me more about like this great incident. Like, I mean, some people say the same thing about the Twilight Zone movie, because there was that famous
helicopter accident.
Yeah, on set that killed people, and it generated buzz, good or bad, for the film, and kind of has left a notch in history. So, because it changed some things in
ruined John Landis's career.
Mm-hmm. So, but the Crow, great film. Brandon Lee, I really wish we could have seen more of what he was able to do. Ernie Hudson, professional as always. The kid actor is not very good. And then a good villain. Like, he's not in it much, and it kind of stinks because like you focus on these 4 goons, and the main villain is actually, like he says near the end, like, nothing happens in this town without my okay. And so yeah, he gets what he deserves, but it just is like a little anticlimactic because it happened so quick. But like, that would have been something great set up for a sequel, but whatever. It ties up nicely. Some of the effects are dated, but some of it still really holds up well, and it still tells a great story. So yeah, I give this an 8.
I went super high.
No,
at least I warned at the top. Like, I can't separate,
And that's totally fine. That's what you get. That's what you get out of it, man.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm a 9.9 for MacGruber. You guys aren't anywhere near that, but I love that film.
Right.
So
I had kind of a question for you guys in terms of the context of the film. What do you think brought Eric back? Like, that there's no real light shed on like why he's back or how he came back.
Would it be weird to say karma?
No.
I've always kind of felt that.
I felt like it was kind of something like Karma, but just like that, like the because it's set in Detroit just going to hell, and so what's a way to end that is to bring somebody back that can maybe bring light to the darkness.
Right.
Do you think it was
some wrongs?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it was some omniscient presence, though? Do you think it was his own will saying, I need to come back and do this?
Seeing he was pretty much, he didn't remember it until he got back into his apartment. Yeah. I think it was more probably something like, because obviously in this world they kind of set that there's a precedent of some sort of supernaturalism because this half-sister's a witch, because she knows all about like the death and that there was some sort of spirit that was able to bring him back, that inhabited the crow that guides him. Like, not saying it had to be God, just some sort of
presence or
that was able to just bring back a vengeful spirit. And it's guided by this crow.
I wasn't sure if they had delved into that during the sequels or anything like that, but they don't really shine a light on.
Maybe in the comic? I have no idea.
Yeah. Maybe in the comic.
I was just curious. Like, that was kind of something that stuck out to me. I was like, I wonder.
I think the sequel is titled Wicked Prayer. So maybe there is some sort... And the finale does take place in a church.
Right.
So maybe there is some sort of religious aspect talked about in the comics and it just didn't make it to screen.
Sure.
You know, another thing, now that I think about it, the whole church confrontation, I think that's also part of why I love Bebop so much, is they have that confrontation at the church about halfway through. It's just amazing.
Cowboy Bebop, it's an anime.
Being a kid in the 90s, we were very fortunate.
Speaking of that church confrontation, that was one of the best lines. When they clip the crow, and he's like, here, let me do an impression. Caw, caw, bang, I'm dead.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. That guy had such a voice.
Right. I was going to say, that was what made it interesting, is just how gravelly he was, to hear him actually try to do an impression. Bang, fuck, I'm dead.
Oh, all right. Mine is up next. And I think I'm going to stick with what I said during Frailty. I believe I'm going to go with Tombstone.
Tombstone?
Right on, I've never seen it.
I know, you two said you haven't.
I'm so excited.
So I need to find a copy, but I'm sure that won't be hard. There are plenty of people I know who probably have it. So I have to check with you, see if you have it, or know somebody who has it. But Tombstone, great film. Val Kilmer kills it, Kurt Russell kills it, and I just read recently an interview Val Kilmer did, or a blog he did, where he said, because what happened is they had a director for like a month, and then the director couldn't handle it, so he dropped out. They had to hire somebody new, but they said pretty much Kurt Russell ran the whole thing. Val Kilmer said Kurt Russell would stay up all night with him, going over how they're going to shoot scenes, and like that you will notice Kurt kind of takes a back seat in the film, but they say it's mainly because he was doing everything else for the film.
Dude, I love Kurt Russell.
So good.
Mm-hmm. But he got no directing credit. The fill-in director that they got did, but...
Well, it's kind of like Poltergeist, right? Where everyone thought Tobe Hooper had directed it.
Wasn't it Steven Spielberg?
Steven Spielberg. Because watching it, you're like, this is so Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently they came out, and yeah.
Well, wasn't there another film that supposedly Spielberg filmed? He never admitted to it, but maybe it was Tim Burton. One of the two was like, supposedly there was a film they did. Everybody says they did it, but they deny it. So, I'm trying to think what it was, though. It'll come to me after the pod, I know it, but that's all right. So yeah, Tombstone, fun movie. It's really good. A lot better than the other Wyatt Earp movie that came out that year, titled Wyatt Earp.
Not good.
It's not that it's not good. It's Kevin Costner, and you know what mid-90s Kevin Costner did, right?
Waterworld.
Well, 3-hour plus movies. Waterworld was what, 2.5 hours?
Dances with Wolves
was 2:45.
Field of Dreams.
That one wasn't as bad. That was like 2 hours, but
He also made money.
Yes, but Postman was like 2.5 hours. Then Wyatt Earp, I think, was over 3 hours. So
that's why I've never seen any of those.
But yeah, I think that'll do it for this week. Like, share, subscribe, Facebook, Twitter, Libsyn, iTunes. Give us a review. It'd be great. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers. They have a demented sense of humor, or, hate Shasta,
Yeah, or you're just not easily offended.
Mm-hmm. So, we just like to have fun and talk movies. And obviously say stupid shit. We're really good at that.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate you?
I do.
I was going to say, don't put a question mark at the end of that.
We appreciate it.
All right. I think that'll do it for this week on TJD. I'm Ty.
Jake.
And I'm Drew.
Bye.